troopers and looking at some of the recent things, I think it's gonna be important that we put them in the 21st century, get a computer, load on the computer certain things, and then have a history of who's been doing what, where, and when. We'll go through the town hall, so both computers for the ACO and the ACO assistant will be updated with everything from the road list to the dog list, to the infractions and the repetitive ones, and general information. They will have the general statutes on there, and will be updated accordingly, and I think it's gonna be a much better way to
Do you guys have the budget for the next year?
No, I'll get that by next week, okay? I'm working with the ACO and the assistant to try and get those figures, and I gave you another example of a problem we had just last week that we're working on, and they're not going away. In regard to the tribal acknowledgement, I've said this I don't know how many times, I have another one, but it is really serious, and the governor got a little criticism in all the papers for how aggressive he was. I'm thankful he has been. They've done a fabulous job. Blumenthal and Hereford have done that. The 5 different...
Can you speak up a little bit?
Yeah, 5 different congressmen have stepped up and have done a wonderful job with this subject. And I think the new legislators, not Blumenthal, the rest of them, have not had an experience like this where the federal government really doesn't give a darn. They're going to do what they want. And it's really disappointing because the BIA has only one intent, is to look out for their Indian population and have no consideration for the general public or how it might affect. The next thing has to do with the zoning enforcement action, the Ames property. We're going to have to actually write an RFP, put that out. It requires that we advise the individual some 10 days prior to the inspection of the property, get bids in, and then look at them. There is a bunch of pictures that the CEO has taken that are available, but a lot of it because of snow, overgrowth, bushes, and everything else, and what's piled on top of piles. It's kind of an unknown, and it's a little risky in what the scope of work may be. So, but because of the magnitude, this will either be something put in next budget, which I don't recommend. I think we're going to have an added appropriation, and we're going to have to kind of guess on it. And I'll try and get you as much information as I can, but it's we have to support P&Z on the enforcement, and the only way we can do it is do the work, attach the house, and collect it at some later time. It was requested that there be a payment from the individual, but that was not granted by the court.
Nick, if I may, hasn't this been addressed before with that individual in planning and zoning?
This has been ongoing.
It's been
It's
in
been
and out.
ongoing for the last, I've been around here a couple of days, and it's been ongoing for quite some time.
That's the court, okay? What the court does and how they handle it, it's the same thing with Tillinghast down there.
Yes.
In and out, and we actually, the judges, they don't have an appetite for enforcement, okay? And to tell you the truth, the people who are being enforced are very good actors, go into court. Last time John went in there in a wheelchair, okay, and said he didn't have any money, okay? And he basically said between the lawyers and other poor activity on his part, he's broke, he's not broke.
But not to interrupt you, but that's gonna be my question. Who determined that he doesn't have any money?
I don't
The
think.
courts do that?
Wait a minute,
Who determines this?
Wait a minute,
The judge.
I don't think anybody determined it, but the judge made a decree.
Okay.
That's it.
How do we appeal that?
Huh?
How do we
I'm just
appeal
questioning
that? That guy's the second richest guy in town next to Charlie Smith.
The judge has to make an order to do it's called a discovery, to look into financial affairs, but for whatever reason chose not to do that.
How do we appeal that decision though? Because I
I'm
don't
not-
know whether
I'm
I
not
got
sure
him
you
yet,
can.
but he's probably on a flight to Puerto Rico by now.
We tried to, I mean, we emphasized that, but I don't think that's appealable at this point.
Jeez.
But the town will recover the money in the long run. But the important thing to remember is it's actually costing the town more to continue to go to court than it would be to clean up the site. And it's a slap in the face for some people who have adhered to judges' orders and cleaned up their property. So you have to be consistent and continue on with the people who haven't.
In all the experience that I've had through my years, we have gone to court on several occasions and not treated well. I think on the Leibowitz one, we had to go in and, we actually that time chose, it was ordered that the town would do it. We just took truckload of all the stuff, and we buried it in the landfill and kept everybody out of there. And we were awarded the grand total of pay $5, I think, a month, okay? And it took years, and the person that came in, maybe they paid 5, maybe they paid 10, or something, went through the process and finally, okay? But the courts are not sympathetic to the towns in regard to this.
It was really a long, drawn-out
Thank you.
process.
Can we put this, when we do clean it up, can we put the stuff we take and give it to the judge on his property?
Can we scrap it and put it back in return?
That's for Tillinghast, yeah, you probably make some. There's nothing to do. Tillinghast, yeah,
Couldn't the town just go, I mean, I know you're saying put it out on RFP, but
1979,
these-
that was
could
10.
the town just go in and do it, the work? And is there,
We could, but I'll tell you, we never get our compensation back,
Yeah.
okay? And actually, the contractors can let them do it. You know, I don't wanna divert the people, I'm waiting till all the frost goes down, then we'll go out and survey the roads and how many cracks didn't come back in place, or how many things are out of line, or something like that. We did get a lot done and still doing a lot on tree cutting this year, but we're not getting much done in regard to actually digging in the ground or anything because there was such a deep frost and everything like that, okay? But the workload that we've got, I don't wanna divert the highway department anything whatsoever. And, we continue to some degree have helped the contractors on both the bridges, on this one out here, the parking lot, and then the Hewitt property. Not a lot of work, but there's sometimes they need something at a critical time, and we help, and it's a lend and payback type thing. We have been very, very beneficial in getting our 75%. The only thing they disallowed out of the whole project was the legal fees, which we didn't think they were gonna do that. The interest on the money we borrowed, which was a good chunk of change, and the other thing was there was a discharge stream between the discharge of the Village Green Bridge over to the carriage house that we straightened out the stream because it had got pushed in from a bunch of trees on the private property, and that was $13,000. So the only thing we got disallowed out of the whole thing was $13,000 after spending somewhere around $2,150,000, okay, between all of them. So I think we did well. It took longer, but I think everybody's pretty satisfied with the work. And the final payment is pending because the FEMA people have approved it to that level. It's at the state now with the requisition for payment. So we should get that 200,000 plus back in within the next few months or so. Anything else on the budget? I owe you a bunch of stuff. I did give you the revenues. I have given you some updates on the resident troopers. The ACO has to be updated and more, but I don't think I have an updated budget, which I will have by next week. I hope this week I'll be able to spend more on that. And if you got any more requests for next week, you might want to visit with the ACOs in regard to the type of activity that's going on. The library is going to come in because they do want to bring us up to date in regard to the building project and what they're into now, which is window replacement, there is an amount in there. There is the boiler issue, which I'll have Steve come in next week or the week after. There's an interesting twist to that, and one of them might look cost effective, but I'm not sure that we just don't want to go with a high efficiency generic type of heating system, because if we're messing around with waste oil, that means we're going to have to tank it, we're going to have to transport it from the landfill, we're going to have to handle it, and I'm not sure that's the best thing in the world. It's like these wood stoves. If you got the wood and it's there and you use it, it's fine. If you gotta go get the wood, cut the wood, keep it dry, keep it clean, and shovel it in every day, it's added work that you'd be spending on the roads. And lately, that has been my only interest. I don't want any side type of things. It's questionable if the landfill does get enough oil per year, and then we have the problem with, we have an antifreeze tank and an oil tank down there, and somebody puts oil in the antifreeze and antifreeze in the oil. So, whatever.
When you go to the board of finance.
I haven't got to work yet. I would say 3 weeks.
Still burning.
Okay. They're gonna start doing positions shortly, okay? So, I don't know how this, I'm gonna meet, I believe, Thursday with Mr. Nero and the chairman of the ad hoc committee to get straightened out who's gotta do what to make this building project get going. And the biggest thing is they have to choose what, projects they're picking and what the estimates are. And I'll get that to you, Lou, as soon as I get it, because. With that, special meeting, Lake Valley subdivision easements. I checked with the lawyer on that. They're having problems on the drawings and the title search and stuff like that. I don't know what it is, but I'll feed it back to you as to,
What kind of problem?
I don't know.
Who's having problems?
The title searcher,
For you?
us.
Sure, we have all the information in the planning and zoning office.
I don't think it has to do with the information, it's got an whether or not it's compatible with the associated lands and it is properly described. That's what it is. Do we have a lawyer look at it? Do we have a title searcher look at it?
We had, yes, attorneys review all of the legal documents at length for, I think, a period of 8 months, I believe it took him, yeah.
I was surprised to hear it myself.
Just to touch base, obviously you two seem to disagree on that. Has there been any communication between the two of you on this rather than?
I just sat yesterday with it, and Frank Eppinger, with his title searcher, is going to quantify exactly if and what the problems are, and then I'll pass it on to him. I don't know what it is myself.
Right, but I guess my point is, rather than put information like that out right now without consulting with Juliet, and they have information, might be more efficient.
Or at least the attorney that was working on it, and suggest.
Because if we're spending legal fees on her end, and now we're going off on another end, without even consulting with her, it sounds like we've already been working on it.
I don't know.
I'm just, what just came out like, that's why I'm asking.
I'm just looking at the source of whence the documents come, and not planning and zoning, it's the developer who provided the documentation. And I want to make sure that it's proper. I don't know, I asked him, he said there was some confusion. I do not have the details, therefore I can't quantify what I'm talking about, but there is an issue.
I'm just trying to foster that team spirit where you're working together.
The answer isn't there. The answer is in regard to if the lawyer feels the title search is correct or incorrect.
I'm sure it was done.
Okay. Borrowing short-term notes, we did get authorization to borrow, and we'll put that package together, got it the one out. I don't know if we borrow the $350 for 3 years as they recommended, if that doesn't cause a problem, if we get the $450 for the grant. I've got to straighten that out, that's a problem. Because I don't want to end up $350,000 and paying interest on it when we don't need it. So I got to figure out how we can handle that, or if we make a short payment. Probably about the same time, I don't know what the time is. I don't know. If the state is expeditious, it'll get done and over. The grant? The bond is gonna be a 3-year bond,
I'm sorry, I missed one. The grant from the bond.
hard grant, hard to sign.
Reimbursement basis?
No, it's covered.
Okay, so,
Yeah. So that's a good problem. I don't know how the bond comes with it.
What's the bond for?
The bond is to borrow in regard to some of the capital items that were financed last year. The refurbishment of the truck, I don't have the list with me, but it's, I think the sewer study, I think it was the 4 of the items, I don't have them in front of me.
Those are budgeted items from
Yes.
last year?
Yes, the budget. Okay. I'm sorry, I apologize. The DOI grant information is okay. Tax exempt, I owe you that, I did not give it. I haven't done any work on the tax collector items. Fire department, oil and tank removal. Okay. There has been a visit by DEP. They said that there were no violations. The amount of oil is now identified and has been transported. So, you have comments or questions?
Yeah, you said something that kind of stuck with me when you said, when I asked, so we confirmed that it was good, usable oil, and you said, we're not gonna know that yet.
You're not gonna know it at all.
Why would you not know that?
An independent contractor come up to pick it up, took it away. I don't know if they tested it or not, or it was quiet. It is, as long as it has not been used or spilled, it is considered a product. The product may be usable for different uses, but it's not considered a hazardous waste. It's considered a product. As long as the product, they handle it accordingly. And apparently, the person who picked it up, which was
Service station.
service
environmental.
station, okay, and they have a manifest on it, and the DEP guy went through it.
Nick, I have a question.
Yes,
Do you have any idea, the hours that we spent through our town attorney in looking into this over the last?
the town attorney basically wrote one letter. I would say he probably took, I don't have the billing for it, 2 to 4 hours.
So at $200 an hour, we're 800 to 1,000 into this with the town lawyer.
Yes,
Okay. I'm just checking, and this is over 4-year-old oil that just because it's usable doesn't mean it was usable as a home heating oil, as a fuel oil. There's many different grades of what that can be. So were we gonna pay to have it independently tested to find out if it was usable? Were we gonna continue transferring around? But the fact of the matter is, once again, it was a problem between the North London Volunteer Fire Company and Richard E. White and Sons, not the town. But we're spending town funds, continuing to go around and around and around on this. Fact of the matter is, the oil's gone. We don't know if it was usable or not, and we wanted to test if it was usable. So we were gonna transfer it down to the town garage. We were gonna put it in a loader, backhoe, I don't care, put it in something. And then a week later, we blow an engine, blow an injector. Now Steve's coming back with $2,300 to fix the backhoe. Is somebody asking him, why the hell are we using old oil? The fact of the matter is, it was taken, here again, in a contract between the Volunteer Fire Company and Richard E. White and Sons, has now become a town problem. We're spending town money, and into this $1,000, we're still going back and forth on it. And, it's like, you gotta buy a ticket down here for a selectmen's meeting over 350 gallons of freaking oil.
Okay, so as we were discussing,
I'm making too much sense, I understand that.
you're making no sense.
Well, you cut me off, I wasn't done.
We're discussing this as a board of selectmen.
I'm a taxpayer, I was making my comment.
All right.
Let's-
I was, he
let's hold.
directed the floor to me to speak, and then you wanted to jump in.
I raised my
Okay,
hand,
wait a
that's why I'm in
Okay,
kindergarten.
let's just hold on, finish.
So Nick, so the DEP cannot be involved,
Huh?
to step away, the DEP to step away.
It is.
Yep. All right, so the quality, you said the quality of whatever the oil, whether it was waste oil or good oil, is still undetermined. Correct?
No, home heating oil.
Okay, so it's home heating oil,
Yes,
right? Which
that's what I've said all along.
had to go to,
It's a product, it's a
Product.
product of home heating.
you said that all along,
Yeah.
during this?
I've said that it had been, when I talked with DEP, both the enforcement and the other compliance, they told me, has it been used? No, it's still considered a product. I have brought that up before.
Mhm. You have.
Yes. Do you-
Right.
Do you remember it?
I recall it being characterized as home heating oil.
From you.
As a product.
All right. Let's just quickly recap how this all came about, because Mr. White's here.
Yeah, I'd like to know how the selectmen got involved in it.
Very simply, on February 4th, Charlie Smith, who I think you'll agree, pretty honest guy,
Yeah,
well respected, came to the Board of Selectmen, asked a very simple question. He said to Mr. Mullane, "Hey Nick, I understand the town finally came and took the oil." Because in his mind, and what he said repeatedly, and was backed up by several firemen on the 18th, that there was an arrangement that the town was gonna get the oil back. That your responsibility was just to take the tank out, and the town was getting the oil.
yeah,
So he asked,
Go ahead.
right, is that correct?
no,
No? All right, so Charlie then asked, very simple question. All I need to know is how many gallons of oil were taken out of the tank, so I can report back to my committee. Simple question.
yeah.
Nick said, don't get any ideas, it's the taxpayer's oil, you can't have it, you're not getting credit. And then Charlie said, well, I need to know how many gallons. I'm not saying that. Mr. Mullane said, I'll get you that answer. Following week, still hadn't got his answer. So Mr. Holliday was here, giving his budget presentation. To clear it up, I simply asked, are you familiar with the oil that was supposed to be taken up by the town? Yes, I took it. I asked how many gallons. Mr. Smith was here. Over 400. Next question, where is it? Very simple questions, right? Two simple questions. That turned into, it was sludge, waste oil, garbage. Nick reported back that he had talked with, I don't know if he talked to you, with Steve after that. The oil was sludge, garbage, as black as my shirt. I just happened to be wearing a black shirt again tonight. So it was garbage. Mr. Mullane went to the town's attorney. Wanted to get a letter to dump this on the fire department, that it was their responsibility. He gets that the contract, he referred to it as a contract between you and the fire company,
Right.
all right? To this point, all we've heard from the individuals who took the oil out, from Mr. Mullane, and then it's referred to by our own town attorney as waste oil that needs to be properly disposed of. So being reasonable and prudent people, wouldn't you think at that point, we have to treat it as waste oil until otherwise proven? Would that be a fair assessment in your mind? Not knowing, because we didn't see the oil, but the gentleman who took it, as well as the first selectman, who interviewed him, and our own attorney is telling us it's waste oil. So do you think it would be reasonable to say it's waste oil?
Yeah, I'd say it's
Okay.
right, oh, yeah.
So, the taxpayers, people who live in that area, came to meetings, very concerned about, is there a spill? Very simple. Can we verify that there's a stable condition? That's all they wanted. Let's determine that first and foremost. Nothing went on. Mr. Mullane did nothing. I sent him an email the day after it was determined that it was being housed on Mr. Holliday's property, requesting that it be checked out. Nothing. So, when you say, talking with DEP, yes, at Mr. Mullane's suggestion, I did contact DEP. And I became very educated on the issue with them. And my concern with them, if you read the complaint to DEP, was that there's been complaints by residents. There was concern about an unstable situation that needed to be checked out. We were told that it was waste oil, and it should be treated that way until proven otherwise. You kept getting inserted into this, and you weren't even here. So DEP was gonna go and check that out. I spoke with the investigator. He checked it out. He says it doesn't appear to be any apparent spills. He was waiting for documentation from your company as well as Service Station Environmental. And to that point, as far as he goes, we're still waiting on his report. Then it came to, how did this all come about? So, we're getting told the taxpayers are getting the oil back. We're being told that you were hired as the contractor.
You know, who told you the taxpayers are getting the oil back? Now, I don't want to butt in on this, but
Well, we get that from Mr. Smith, who was in charge of the project, who you claim in your letter contacted you and gave you the go-ahead.
he gave me the letter. In it, it stated for me to take the oil, remaining oil out of the tank. It didn't say how much is gonna be in it. Charge the fire company so much a gallon, and so much for trucking it, and dispose of it.
So we
And
disposed
then
of it.
to remove the tank, that was the contract price.
So when he hired, so basically, and this is why I'm glad you're here, because I think you've gotten kind of a raw deal in this, because you weren't here to answer for yourself. So when he told you to say, take the oil and dispose of it,
Yeah,
he's thinking, as the person hiring you, it's gonna go to a proper facility to dispose of it.
right.
Because he was totally taken back that it was in Mr. Holliday's backyard, as all of us were. So he hired you, and this is where, there's a term they call co-generators.
Yeah,
So when someone, and this is where it all turned a couple of weeks back. When you hire someone, as you know, you're a businessman, and when it comes to the disposal of home heating oil, whether it's good oil or waste oil,
yeah,
you as the person hiring the individual or the company is responsible to make sure that it was properly disposed of. That's why they call you co-generators, if you're a homeowner or you're a business. So Charlie did the right thing. He was trying to ensure that the oil was accounted for because he would be responsible if he entered into a contract and there was an if you dumped the oil in a river and it got traced back to you,
yeah.
DEP and so forth would go back to Charlie and the fire company and say, you hired him, you're also responsible for the mess. You probably are aware of that. You aware of that?
Yeah.
Okay.
There was no mess.
Okay.
Yeah.
No one knew that. No one knew that. So, as a board of selectmen, when it comes to the safety, health, and well-being of the community, based on what we knew, do you still think it's inappropriate for the selectmen to try and account if there's an environmental hazard in this community?
Wait a minute, before you answer that, I want you to know one minute, comment.
Well, wait a minute. No, let him answer the question, Nick. You can have your turn. Do you think, based on what we know, what we were told, it's the responsibility of the Board of Selectmen to ensure the safety, health, and well-being of the community?
Evidently, you were informed of the whole situation.
No, I'm saying, based on what we were told.
I don't,
Based on what I just told you, do you think it was reasonable and prudent to safeguard the interests of the people?
if I'd been one of the selectmen, I'd said it's still a deal between me and the North Stonington Volunteer Fire Department.
So if you didn't know if there was an environmental hazard in our community that could contaminate drinking water and wells, and it's in an aquifer protection area, you would expect this Board of Selectmen to just ignore that? I'm just asking you a simple question. I know the answer. You would expect us to do the right thing. I know it contradicts what you wrote in your letter about me, but I'm a big person, I can take it. That's why I don't think you were fully informed on what went on when you wrote your letter. And that's why I'm not picking on you. It's a man to man, just having a conversation. Clear the air. I don't want you to think I'm attacking you. I don't want you to think that you're wrong. I'm just trying to get to the facts. And the facts, what we were told, is what I just told you. And I responded accordingly.
If I had gone up there and pumped it out and taken it out and taken it down to my place, would there been any issue? I hired Steve works for me. Evidently, it was thought that he was a town employee, which he is.
But was he working as a town employee when he took the oil, or was he working for
He
you?
was working for me
He was working for
when he
you.
took the oil. He stored it, and we were gonna do something with it when I got back.
And now,
When this all blew out of proportion, I figured we'd get rid of it, and it'd be gone then.
Right.
Because that's my contract to dispose of it. It doesn't say where I gotta take it, what I've gotta do with it. It says to remove the oil.
the contract doesn't state that, but the law states that. Would you agree with that?
The law states.
And you're gonna properly dispose, wait a minute, Nick,
No,
Nick,
wait, stop.
Nick, you're not gonna protect your friends here.
Wait a minute,
Let's talk.
you're conducting an inquisition
No,
on
I'm not.
somebody.
I'm asking the man questions.
I
I'm not badgering the guy, I'm talking to him like a man.
Get into harassment pretty soon. If you wanna put it off for another week,
It's very, I'm just asking you very
I'll have
simple
an attorney
questions.
come in with me and
That's
we'll iron the whole
fine.
thing out.
I'm just trying to understand where, you brought some information forward tonight in your letter.
Yes.
And the fire company has gone out of their way to say they hired you. Then, when I brought up that you didn't have the licensing for them to hire you to perform those activities, they backed away. Matter of fact, Mr. Perkins, who was the chairman of the board of directors, said the agreement was that you were gonna get the proper permits, show proper licensing, insurance, and come back, but you never came back. So he admitted on the 18th that there was never a contract or an agreement.
Oh, I never admitted there was no contract.
Wait a
There was a
minute.
verbal contract between Richard and us.
Okay, so my confusion
Verbal
is,
contract. I've worked for those guys from the fire department, one great bunch of guys up there.
they are, and believe me, and this is, I'm just trying to sort out because you
Okay.
kind of mentioned in your letter, you
Now,
hired
wait a minute. Bob,
Stephen,
Bob, stop, Bob, stop, okay?
I know it's uncomfortable for you, Nick,
No,
but it's very simple.
No, it's not.
Now you hired Stephen D. Holiday
Wait a minute, no.
and Sons, who has the same licensing as you.
Bob, you're out of order.
But they
Stop. You're out of order. Now, I'm gonna say one word in between it,
Okay,
okay?
go ahead, Nick.
This is the lawyer letters. My early preliminary review of the materials, however, would indicate to me that the private North Stonington firehouse has some possession of the tank and the remaining oil for some years as a normal part of its budget with the town. Therefore, the consumption of the oil and its use would be, in my legal perspective, be an issue for the members of the volunteer fire company to resolve. Given my understanding of the oil, that the oil has been delivered several years ago, its disposition as part of a gas conversion by the fire company would normally be a matter between the fire company and its contractor. The Board of Selectmen can certainly review any issues, but I do not feel that the remaining oil, old oil, should be handled in any other manner but the manner called for in the contract. Okay, now, with that, that's exactly what the selectmen have done. I have followed this, I have talked to DEP, and I have kept in communication, and I've continually asked about circumstances. The indication that I got, I was perfectly satisfied that everything was being handled properly. It was an issue between the fire company and the contractor. The DEP has come down and preliminarily said, there is no wrongdoing, there is no going to be any enforcement, nobody did anything wrong, there's no environmental.
So you have that report
Okay.
already.
I haven't got it yet. I
So
got
this
it
is you
verbally.
again going verbally without backing it up. You want documentation?
Wait a minute. Everything you've said so far, on all of these conversations with everybody in this room, has no backup whatsoever.
It's all recorded.
Wait a minute. No,
It's all on tape.
no, I don't have that, I'm saying.
We'll get you it.
What do you have to prove, like a piece of paper? You said 400 to 500 gallons of oil. Only 340 was taken out of the tank.
Nick, we have a document from Charlie Smith that says approximately 500 gallons, and on that document, he also writes the oil going back to the town. Then, we have Mr. Holliday's own statements that he took over 400 gallons.
That's not part of the contract, Bob.
I'm a little confused, Nick,
Okay.
but anyway, let me just address your letter,
Wait a minute.
Okay.
since you pointed some comments at me.
Well,
Now, you put in here, now the fire department will be responsible for the disposal cost for all gallons.
wait a minute. Hold on.
Because now you
That's in
had,
my contract. You probably got a copy of it.
I got a copy of the contract, and this is where we could have helped you out. I don't know if you were aware of this. You had I'm assuming what your estimate is the contract you're referring to, where you charged them $1,500
Yeah,
plus $1.65 per gallon for every gallon over 5 gallons,
right,
plus $100
right,
trucking fee,
right.
which comes out to more than $1,500. But we as the town could have really helped them out where it wouldn't have cost them anything.
Why didn't the town, why didn't the fire company come to you then?
Well, this is the thing, this is what's interesting. We could have used the Southeastern Resource and Recovery and removed that oil for nothing,
Okay,
right?
Wait a minute,
We
wait
could
a
have done that for nothing.
wait a minute. We're not playing.
And
How long have
games.
you belonged to the fire department?
I don't belong to the fire department. I don't know what that has to do with it.
Bob,
So we could have helped them for nothing. So when you said that we,
Bob, stop. No,
Nick,
stop.
I'm addressing this letter.
No, stop. It's the end.
Nick, I know it's uncomfortable for you, but I'm addressing a letter that you wrote, you read publicly to try to attack me, and now I'm responding to it.
I didn't attack you.
Nick,
When did I?
you had this thing on Friday, and I get it today.
I didn't get it on Friday. When did I get it, Richard?
What day was March 7th?
When did I get it? When was it hand delivered?
Today.
What
Okay,
time?
so it's dated March 7th. Okay,
I didn't write the letter.
okay, well, I'm addressing your letter. So the next
Everything
thing-
you're doing, you're distorting the real issue.
He
Is
just
there
said-
anything wrong?
What are you
No,
talking about?
I don't see anything
Well, let
wrong.
me see. We got, you inserted, and let's make this clear. I've said we had a level of responsibility as a town,
We did it.
and you said you went out of your way to get the lawyer to say, no, it's all on the fire company and Richard White.
When I
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
got the
Dave
lawyer
did
to
that.
say,
You wanted the town out of
don't
it.
tell me that I coerced the
Nick,
lawyer.
I'm gonna tell you right now, you portrayed this as an attack on the fire company, and it's not. But the fact is, if Mr. White was hired, yet he wasn't licensed to perform the work,
You don't
He
need a
hired
license.
Steve-
He's licensed for what it takes.
you need a household contractor's license to remove even household oil.
Tell me what statute you violated.
Nick,
Now,
here we go again.
I'm gonna do one thing, Bob. okay?
Nick, if I'm wrong, why did he have to contract Service Station Environmental to clean this up? Because
Ask him.
he has a septic license, so does Stephen D. Holliday and Sons. They have the same licensing as Richard White and Sons. So when the heat came on, when DEP got involved, Service Station Environmental was called in, and ironically, Service Station Environmental was the company that bid on this project first. And the proposal by Richard E. White and Sons is identical verbiage as Service Station Environmental, and for $100 difference. Had Service Station Environmental been hired originally,
I told
we wouldn't be here right now.
I told you, Lane, I wasn't involved in it, I don't know who said what, or what they thought they said. But I do know that it is the visit from DEP today. He said his review of the circumstances.
Okay.
There have been no violations, there's no contamination, everything's been done.
Nick, we're gonna get his report,
That's right. Now,
okay?
what-
Let's get his report and see what he says.
Fine. But let's not forget what happened at the last meeting or the meeting before. I forgot which one it was. I don't know. Want to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss discipline on Mr. Holliday?
No, matter of fact, I had it right here. I meant to correct that for you when I was supposed to.
How do you?
Where it said, add an agenda item for personnel highway
Wait,
fault.
no. How did you? two motions that made. One to go into, change the agenda, go into executive session to discuss disciplinary action, and second, to take disciplinary action was the second item.
No,
Wait a
the
minute.
second item was possible action.
Possible action against nothing
Yep.
of proof or substantiation.
Nothing of, Nick, see, this is where you and I differ, and I don't understand, you've dealt with this. When you have such questionable circumstances involving town, high-ranking town employee, and with all the stuff that's been going on, you owe it to that person to proceed accordingly, because you need to thoroughly vet it out.
I did,
You did?
I did.
You must have done a lot in the last week.
No, I have constantly talked to DEP, I have talked with other people, and I have reported that, from what I understand, it's still a product, it's still heating oil, therefore, it is not hazardous waste, maybe dirty oil, okay, but it still can be used in the regard for a heating oil. And the DEP said, there is no spill, there is no contamination, it has been disposed of. He brought me copies of these, he gave me these, I forgot what I got in the last 24 hours, okay? So, all the accusations about problems don't exist. Did I keep track of as I went along? Yes, no, and.
Well, what problem?
It's not, all your accusations that we have contamination, that we violated laws, that's it's hazardous waste.
Nick,
No, don't.
you are the one who gave the story. You and Mr. Holliday and your attorney are the ones who referred to it as waste oil. Did you ever hear me say that?
Town attorney.
You're the one who came out and said, I talked with Steve, it was as black as your shirt, garbage, it was not usable fuel.
Why don't you recall the entire story? Some parts of it was black as well, maybe not all of it, because the bottom was dirty, and the bottom of this was, I guess, quite dirty from the comments, okay? And I guess it's still considered as a product, it's still home heating oil, and can be used somewhere for somebody for something. It isn't good use, I would say, what I understood, I'm not authority, it didn't go in a tank, and we didn't try it, so I don't know, but I wasn't about to try it on our equipment.
Nick, can I just have 90 seconds? I only need 90 seconds, I promise.
What?
I just need 90 seconds, I just have 3 quick comments.
Go ahead.
Number one, the entire interview, the entire process for the selectmen was to find out in the end was the oil disposed of properly. Correct?
Yes.
The answer to that question is, yes, it was. Second of all, you continue to refer to Mr. Smith as regards to who you're speaking to. Unfortunately, Mr. Smith is a member of the Board of Trustees of the fire company. If you had questions regarding the fire company, either the president or the chairman of the board would have been the one to call down here. Thirdly, for you to sit and insinuate that the North Stonington Volunteer Fire Company had anything backhanded to do in regards to how it's convenient that the quotes got switched around, and it's kind of funny how Richard was $100 less. That's ridiculous, Bob, because them guys up there, they break their balls and they spend a lot of time working, volunteering, and everything else. There was nothing underhanded. The quotes were presented by Mr. Smith, and that was who it chose. I'm not sure if you realize this. Re-election 18 months away. So stop your goddamn politicking now and just get over it.
Mark, I understand you want to, your uncle's
Has nothing to
involved.
do with it being my uncle, Bob.
I understand
Has nothing to
that.
do with it.
I understand
It's a
that.
witch hunt. It's
It's not a witch
ridiculous.
hunt.
Stop.
It's not a witch
It
hunt.
was disposed of properly. That's the answer you were looking for, am I
The only
right?
reason it got disposed of properly is because we got involved.
What's the answer? Was it good? Was it good disposed
Because we
of?
got involved,
That's it.
okay?
Stop.
So you can take the attitude all you
I
want.
listen, you don't bother me. I'm not,
You're not
I'm
bothering me.
debating you all you want.
If you're telling me that you don't see anything wrong with what happened,
Better get it back to Selectmen.
and this is what's funny, and that's why I'm talking to you very
Okay.
quickly.
Let me just answer then. If this conversation wants to go any further, I think it's harassment. I'll have my attorney here next week, and you make the call.
Okay, and my question to you was just simple. So obviously you weren't licensed to perform these
I have
activities.
all the permits, all the licenses I need to do what I did.
And then the need to bring in service station environmental, why would that happen?
To dispose of the oil, to finish disposing of
If
it.
you're licensed to do that, you're saying, so why would we have to bring them in?
No. He's not saying that. He's not saying that.
No,
You gotta have permits.
Okay.
we don't need permits.
For subcontractors, like anybody, you're subcontractor.
Okay.
There we go, Bob, attaboy.
Stop. Stop.
Mark.
Mark, got any wisdom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Send it, Mark.
Doesn't seem like we're making headway in this. I recognize that you're investigating certain aspects, you're trying to make points. I'd like to hear the final report from DEP before we have more conversation.
Oh, I thought that's what we were doing, that's why I was kind of surprised we were getting into this tonight,
Okay, but
right?
doesn't
When we supposed to do that?
doesn't seem like we're trending
The
that way.
letter
We
of
don't-
comment came,
And we don't have a
read
written
it,
report yet.
came to the item, you started.
Well, Nick, when you read a letter like this, right, think about it.
I read a lot of correspondence.
You read a letter like that, do you honestly think I'm gonna sit here and not respond? You're smarter than that, aren't you? I mean, seriously,
Without a doubt, Bob,
did you really think I wasn't gonna respond to
you
that?
have been propagating this at every meeting, whether somebody talks or not. Okay? There's no doubt about that.
Nick, I don't need, and what's funny
something?
is,
None of your allegations that you've made are true.
what
None.
allegation?
That there was a wrongdoing, that he violated the license, he violated the law.
It's not licensed.
Huh?
He had the subcontractor worked out, are you seeing the pattern here?
No.
He had a sub, he says he subbed it to Steve. Steve told you I was working for Richard White. He never said it was under his company. You never reported that to us.
I didn't know it.
You didn't? And so the day after your foreman had over 400 gallons of oil, and this is where you said you did your job. You said you sat down with him. You didn't even ask him what happened. For 4 weeks, you told us, I don't know nothing, I don't know nothing.
What I did was, I asked him, because he said, the piece of paper that I got says something different. I says, I want to see the piece of paper. I then saw it and realized it was a contract, and he told me I was working for Richard White.
See, Nick, all this,
Now, actually, okay, and I'm of the opinion that the fire company, Mr. White, Mr. Holliday, okay, and the different people involved, what they did in the end satisfied everything, and in regard to the amount of oil, which was, somebody guessed there was 500 in the tank, there wasn't, there was only 410. Okay, so we know that was a guess, and that's understandable. When you stick
how do you know that,
Wait,
Nick?
huh?
How do you know that?
It says so right in the paper, right
No,
there.
that says what they recovered.
What's this?
What if there was 500 gallons and they only recovered 340?
Now you're accusing somebody spilled it?
No, I'm asking you.
I'm going by the fact.
No, I'm going by someone that tells me they took over 400.
That's the end of it, okay?
And-
If you want to create your own data, fine.
Oh, no, it's not my own data. There was a 330-gallon tank located on Mr. Holliday's property.
Yep,
So more oil that could fit in the tank was found on his property?
it was. I told you it was in two
Was
tanks.
it overflowing?
No, it was in two
Not
tanks.
according to DEP, it was one tank.
Oh, it wasn't. It was in one tank of 330, and it was in a filled tank on the truck that had a capacity of 100 gallons. So between the two, on that property, there was moved 340 gallons.
Yeah,
And,
so,
and the person, the guy told me, the tank, it was a standard tank, acceptable for oil, and the one on the truck was adequate, there was no spill, it was clean as a whistle, no problem, nothing on the ground.
well, Nick, we'll agree to disagree that having 400 gallons of heating oil, that, on
The-
3 days,
No,
3 days,
You,
want a fact?
No.
You gave it to me.
No.
This is a good fact.
well,
Here's a good fact you gave to me.
the end.
3 days after we were told that there was over 400 gallons of oil that you claim you knew was good, at Steve's house, you paid $1,470 for 403 gallons to deliver it to the highway department, right?
What are you reading?
I'm not following you.
I'm reading stuff that you gave us. You had oil deliveries within days of knowing that he had the oil from up there. Charlie's, did you even ask if
Is
the
that in
town,
the invoices?
you gave them to
Where'd you
me.
get that?
I don't,
From you.
I don't understand what you're saying, Bob.
What I'm saying is, if we heard on the 4th,
I don't understand what you're talking about.
Let me see that piece of paper.
you didn't get these things?
I don't understand what you're talking about, so.
What's it?
You gave it to us, Nick. Actually, there's another one. Did you give that to us? Mohegan Oil Company? Highway Department, Highway Garage, $1,470.35 on February 7th, 3 days after we were told that the oil was there.
So what?
February 8th, New Town Hall, $1,472.18.
What's the point?
February, Old Town Hall.
It's the filling work, so I'm not following.
Well, I guess my question would be is, if we're being told by someone that the oil was supposed to come back to the town, I don't know where, maybe Charlie can clarify, if everybody's saying you don't know what you're talking about. But that came from you.
I'm not
Yeah,
following
well,
what you're talking
if I may, I just got a couple of questions.
If it was good,
If I may.
it could have gone into these tanks instead of being just stored on someone's property.
If I may, when this was
You're
handed
saying
to me,
instead of delivery from Mohegan, we could have transferred the oil from the.
If it was good oil, you could have used it.
Okay,
in these
so I
tanks,
just
is what I'm
wanted to
saying.
clarify what you're doing.
if I may, when this packet was handed to me in November of 2013, that when Mr. Perkins took over the board of directors for the fire station, I was asked to look at a couple projects they had going, and this happened to be one of them, to get the tank removed. And I had already been involved in it in 2011, when they got the 2 quotes from Service Station and a quote from Mr. White. That was given to me. I contacted both companies to see if they would do it for the same price in 2014, when we started to address this in the first part of February. Mr. White agreed to do it for the same price, and so did Service Station agree to do it for the same price. In the meantime, there was an update made through the board of directors that they wanted the copper tubing moved, some holes filled in the foundation, and the soil to be, what soil was put back, be seeded for springtime, which Mr. White added to his at no cost. Service Station said that they would do it at no cost. I asked, I think it was January 28th, January 28th, I asked here at a selectmen's meeting, some of the young men were sitting here behind me, they said, oh, by the way, Charlie, did you know that the tank was pumped? I said, gosh, I didn't. Yeah, Mr. Holliday was up and pumped the tank on 1/21 January 14. And I said, okay, so I looked at Nick, and I says, Nick, my friend, the town was supposed to get the oil. Do you have any idea how much oil was taken out of the tank? Nick says, no, I don't. He said, but don't remember, that's our oil. Don't you do anything with it. That's what was said at the meeting, and it's on the tapes. I have a copy of the tape.
I want to hear that, Charlie.
Now, then it went from then to February 4th. Went to February 4th, Mr. Holliday was in doing his presentation for his budget. I came in late, and that's when the question was asked, Steve, did you take the oil? And that's where it's gone from then. Steve says, yes, I took the oil, took approximately 400 gallons, and it's at my house. So the 2 questions that I needed, Nick agreed that it belonged to the town. Mr. Holliday said he took it. My question was answered. From February 4th to present, through the chairman of the Board of Trustees and our president, they have totally taken over this project. What emails and stuff have been between chairman of the board and our president and Mr. Mullane, I have had very little privilege to see them other than have them read to me. So whatever's been going on, I don't know. But that's what took place at first, and I can back that up.
And your adamance about it going to the town.
That
How did
is
that come
correct.
about?
That was brought up at the meetings through our board of directors, that the oil was gonna go to the town. And it was also agreed by First Selectman. Now, what
So
took
you've heard
place
the
after
fire-
that? I don't know.
But you've heard the conversations.
That's
And the reason I'm
correct.
asking is because
I haven't
really,
seen, I'll be honest with you, Bob, I have not seen the emails and stuff that's been communicated between the selectman, a chairman of the board, and my president.
I didn't give
I
you-
have seen emails and stuff floating around that they've been passing around.
I didn't give you a package, Charlie?
No, no, you did
Friday
not.
night in the town hall.
No, no.
And the reason I
Oh,
asked
excuse me. Yes, you did the first part of the package when you asked Shaponia for the contracts. That's correct. Shaponia called me the day that you wanted, you gave me the package. Because I brought it down to the town hall for Shaponia. That's correct.
And Charlie, and the reason I wanted you to speak is, it seems your
I'm
questions
upset
were
about
innocent.
this. These people are my friends. These people are my friends. Now, where the oil was gonna go and how it was supposed to go, we thought it was usable oil. I don't know, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, I don't know. If we were gonna give it away, we would give it to our firefighters up there. If the town wasn't gonna take it. I didn't know this until after this all took place.
But someone had to tell you it was going to the town, because you've been adamant about that.
Oh, it's been from day one. I don't know if you want to comment or not. That's not now to put your words in your mouth. But, that was voted at the meetings that it was shut
Charlie, if you
down.
got the tape, I'd like to hear it.
Yes,
I want
okay.
to refresh my memory.
Yep.
And Charlie, the reason I'm asking is you keep hearing me getting attacked, that that's some fallacy. But that's, the reason that this has become a selectman issue, you were very adamant that the oil was coming to the town.
I thought that from the day one, from back 2011.
That's
But let me
what I'm saying.
put it to you this way, folks. I know everybody here, and I've been in town here a few years. If we're looking for somebody to throw under the bus, I haven't been able to take credit for a lot of things in this town for a long time. You can start with me. Because I've got more important things going on than to argue over a few barrels, a few buckets of oil. It bothers me. There was mistakes made. Let's make it go away. Make it go away and start from scratch here. What's been said, who said, I said, you said. There's two sides to every story. But in some cases, there's three sides to every story. The truth. And that's what we gotta go by.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.
And one of the things that Charlie said whenever this first exchange was going on, Nick, between you and Charlie, and we were all having fun, and you said, you're not gonna get a credit. And Charlie said, I don't want a credit. The company voted to give the oil to the town. I just need to know, he said it's your oil, I just need to know how many gallons. And
Which
that's-
is why the
Exactly what I
selectmen
said.
and myself took an interest in this. And the simple question was, where did it go? And Charlie, I view you in this, you've been consistent,
It bothers
honest,
me.
honorable,
Yeah, it bothers me.
and based on everything, I feel we acted accordingly. And yes, looking at it now, because we've been involved, it's corrected, it's safe.
Puts a bad eye in our fire department, which
Well,
I've been involved in all these years. Our selectman's office, you guys do a good
I'm
job.
gonna-
God bless you
I'm gonna
guys.
tell you something that I made a comment on. I wasn't there, I don't know who said what or what they thought. Even when I made the comments, okay?
When was
So I-
this then?
wait, I said, Charlie, I said this before, I didn't know who said what where and what they thought they heard or what they heard, okay? And I had no knowledge there was a contract between the fire company and Richard White in regard to what was gonna happen.
That's cool.
And I didn't know when Steve was acting, whether he was acting as the town or a contractor.
You're right, absolutely right.
Yeah, I'm absolutely right, huh?
Yeah.
Well, you know,
You're absolutely right.
well,
But you didn't know that the oil was gonna come to the town? We mentioned that way back, you didn't know the oil was coming to
I
town?
never knew where it was going or what it was going to be used for or how, Charlie. I didn't know if it was going to the landfill, what or where.
Yeah.
All I did was, let me finish. I was asked expedited getting out. When I talked to Steve, I said, Steve, they want the oil out. He says, it's being covered. I didn't know how or what, okay? And I didn't bother, Charlie, because you wanna know, wait, let me finish, okay? 400 gallons of oil and a $1,500 contract, as a lot of people have said, is not a big deal and not the most important thing in the world. And we should be spending this time tonight on the budget, on housing, on the school project, and all the rest of the stuff. This thing has been so exploited and so twisted, I don't think anybody knows who's what, okay? Now, I've been accused tonight of being remiss of not following it, telling the lawyer what to say in his letter. You don't tell credible lawyers what to do, okay? And I don't want it. What's my motto? It is what it is, okay? And I got a real problem with how this whole thing turned out, because nobody got everybody in the room at any one time and said, does everybody understand what's gonna happen? No. This one talked to that one talked to this one. These people went over and got, wait a minute, on my turn. Then we got over, we got one estimate, then we got a second estimate. Got an estimate in 2011, then we got an estimate dated in 2013, and then we got writing all over one. I didn't have any of that before I got started, okay? Now, were things done wrong? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay, and was it any potential? I don't think so, okay? But we've turned it into a prize mess. And you, Mr. Testa, whether you like it or not, have exaggerated everything and accused people and wanted to take disciplinary action before you even had the facts.
That's not what I
That's what
said.
your motion was last week.
That wasn't discipline. What did I say?
You said, I want to.
No, what did I say? What, you asked, Mark asked the question. What do you think should happen pending while this is going on? What did I say?
No, I said one.
What did I say, though?
You can't have an executive session of a person.
No, what did I say though, when you said what would be appropriate? I think Mark asked the
You
question.
know something?
What did I say?
I wish.
See, Nick, you just made a good point, because you said for 6 weeks, you said that you knew nothing.
For the
And you
sake of
just
the
said,
audience, can we move
you
on?
knew
This is
about
not very
this.
professional to be scolding each other.
Exactly. But if you would have told us, that you knew about all these conversations, that there was, you claim you didn't even know that they were taking the oil out. You had knowledge of this that could have put a lot of this to rest. And that's what bothers me with this.
Yeah.
As a member of this town, I'm asking my Board of Selectmen to move on to town government issues.
Thank you,
Please.
thank you.
I asked that too. Stop the bickering.
Okay, you through with me tonight then?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Town traffic concerns, Brian Cooper's going to be delayed until the 25th and taken off the agenda.